All right, let's get started. So for today, we're gonna have Aaron and Corey. We're just gonna get started, and we'll talk about some topics. We'll talk about how some banks are stacking up gold, but it's actually silver that investors are more interested today. We're gonna be talking about some theories that Corey is gonna bring up today, we're gonna have some trivia that Corey and Aaron are gonna answer for us today, just to keep it fun. So let's get started. So guys, tell us, what's hot in the market lately? Aaron, Corey, what's going on with the precious metals market lately? What do you have?
Well, the hottest in the precious metals market is definitely gold, hitting an all-time high. Obviously, that's going crazy. It's sparking people's interest on what's going on. Is it a good investment? I mean, like you've been telling me back and forth, if I would have just invested a year ago, I would have X amount of money. So I think everybody's thinking that right now. A lot of new things, but other than that, that's definitely the hottest thing. I don't know if there's anything else that you have.
I mean, yeah, I'd agree. Gold hitting all-time highs. I mean, what's better than that? So all those investments from before are up. So that's great. Silver, we know, kind of staying flat a little bit, trying to take off. Hasn't yet, but I think one day we'll see it.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
I wanted to bring up, I'm going to pull up slide number 1 for this part, but did you guys know that right now the electric vehicle industry and the solar panel industry uses or utilizes around 80 million ounces of silver per year, and it's estimated that for 2030 we're going to be around 100 to 130 million ounces of silver for industrial use. But year over year, the supply of silver mining is decreasing. And we know that in 2011 and some other years back, silver has hit around $50 per ounce. So what does it mean for the silver market? Because banks are stacking on gold, and we're going to be talking about who's the largest buyers of gold right now. But on the low key side, silver is the one that keeps posing as the best opportunity for investment.
I got plenty of thoughts, but I can save them for a second.
All right, man, you got me excited, Roger. I can't wait to hear more.
All right. What do you guys think about that?
So, man, I did know. I didn't know the exact numbers. I did know essentially, if you look at it, a lot of people don't realize the electric car market and everything that they're using to make those cars is mostly made using silver. Not mostly, but a ton of silver is being used. What were the numbers again? Was it 80 million ounces?
80 million right now.
Right now. And think how many electric cars you see on the road. Maybe, I would say 10% max on a good day. Most of the time, I'm lucky if I see 2 or 3. Right, so that going up, I would say your numbers are probably, in my opinion, wrong. I think it's going to go up way above 200 million ounces if you look at it. And my question that I was actually curious is how many ounces are we selling, right? How many ounces are we selling when I was looking this up? And nowhere near that amount of ounces are we even come close to selling. And if you actually look at the minted, it's still going down. It's not going up as most people think. And so what's going to happen with silver, I think, in the next couple of years, in my opinion, is what I think the highest ever hit was around $53. That was way before electric cars were even a mention, way before electric cars were a thing, and they did not use silver for anything except necklaces and a couple computer boards that were really expensive. But now you're going to double that, triple it, quadruple it, and really if they go switch all the way to electric cars, especially if Kamala Harris gets elected, she's got the Green Deal, all that, that she wants to get going with that, I think you're going to see silver hit 150 at least. At least. That's a hot take. For sure.
No, I mean, I'm right there with you. Also, to produce and mine silver, it's actually interesting. Only 30% of silver comes directly from silver mines, while the rest comes from lead, copper, zinc, so as a byproduct. So that's why we're not seeing as much production of silver, yet there's so much use for it. So it really seems like it just wants to take off, but it seems like it's being throttled back.
Yeah.
Where do you think silver is still? I mean, it's been rising. At the start of the year, it was at like 19.
Yeah.
Now we're at like 31, I believe, today.
Yeah.
Gosh, I wish I would have bought when it was 19.
Oh, man. Yeah.
That would have been nice. I got it at 23, which is nice, but 19 would have been much better.
I got it at 23 as well. When you bought, I bought as well.
That's good.
So if silver, it's kind of like the one with the most opportunity. Why is everybody stacking up on gold? Because banks are stacking up on gold. Actually, I want to start with the first question. Who are the biggest buyers of gold right now? Why is gold climbing up so much? And who are the biggest buyers?
I mean, it's got to be the U.S., I would imagine.
U.S.
But-
Fed, the Federal Reserve?
No.
No.
India and China.
India and China.
I'm going to be honest.
Okay.
I was scared that was the answer to the question. I haven't looked it up in a while, but that's definitely flipped.
I mean, who owns the most gold right now in the world?
Probably if those are the stats, that's just got to be China.
Right now, it's still the U.S.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But it's if they keep buying,
Tricked us.
if they keep buying at the same rate, they're gonna be the biggest owners of gold.
Absolutely.
In a couple
When?
next years.
Do you have a date by chance?
No, I don't.
That's
I
what
don't.
I'm curious.
That's
because
that,
if we
I'm
had
curious
that
about
date, that
one
would
too.
probably affect my
Okay.
buying rate for sure.
Yeah, let's get that. Let's get that for the next session.
Yeah, if we have it. Did you have another question there?
I do have a couple of questions for this, guys. Okay, so let's start. Let's continue with the trivia, and then we have actually some questions that they sent us that we're gonna answer.
All right.
All right.
Did
so
we want to answer the question? I'm curious to look at this too. Why are people still stacking on gold compared to silver, and what that looks like?
my opinion is just because gold is more portable. So if
Yeah.
you had to, for example, right now with the hurricane, we'll talk more about the hurricane, but if you had to just leave, you cannot take all your silver. You can take all your gold. Like it's very portable. It's not hard.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like my intuition, but I don't know what you guys think.
I think the reality is, I think it goes back, and this term may be offensive, I'm not sure, but to the boomer generation and the idea that when anything's backed by gold, it's better. It's backed by gold. The next word that comes to mind is it's better, right? Because that was a generation that really saw the dollar lose value, and that was a generation that saw the dollar not be backed by gold. And so that's what they see as physical money, real money. And so I think as you see newer, younger age people get into the market, I think you're going to see silver take off. I think a lot of these older people, older generations are starting to buy more silver. I mean, I work at the precious metal company every day, and I see that trend starting to happen. But I think the reality, it's nothing more than the idea that gold is essentially safer than silver. I think that's the reality. But when you look at the research, I would beg to differ at that question right now.
I mean, you're right. Gold is the longest known currency. So, silver came after that. So gold, we've been using that since the dawn of man, basically. So it's the most sure thing. And like you said, Roger, it's the most portable. And yeah, I'm with you. A lot of the people that are buying precious metals, buying gold, are the older generations. There's not a lot of us young guys buying precious metals. But I think the younger generation is more focused on silver because of the volatility of it. You can make money quick with silver.
Yep.
Gold is a little bit longer term, as we know, but actually the past few months it has been very volatile. So
true.
there's opportunity in both gold and silver to make money quick.
For sure.
But as we know, it is more of a long-term way of building your money. But like you said, gold is just, you can't go wrong with it.
Yep. I think the younger generation is a little bit more willing to take risk as well. I think we've seen that. You've seen that, and nowadays you can have a YouTube star, influencer, whatever, make quick money. And so when you see these people, they want to take a little bit more of a risk to have that higher reward. And I think the older generation more wants to stick to their 401k, IRAs, safe investments. And so I think you're going to see that start to flip here soon.
That's very interesting. So you guys work at a precious metals company. If you had 10K, what would you do with that?
10K cash right now today.
Cash right now, 10K.
Does it have to be precious metals, or does it not have to
Yeah,
be
in precious metals, what would you do?
And we're going with today's spot prices.
Today.
Today's spot prices. Okay. Me personally, I mean, can't go wrong with diversifying, right? But I'm going to go a little bit more silver heavy than I am gold heavy.
Yeah.
With that 10K, I'd probably go 60% silver, 40% gold. Maybe get an ounce. Well, see, 2 ounces puts you right at 50-50. So I'm thinking maybe an ounce of gold and the rest in silver. And I'm biased to the 1 ounce coins. So that's something you can just grab quick in a pinch. Just grab your coins and go, in an emergency or anything like that. And diversify.
That's funny. I thought you were gonna say gold backs. You like gold backs?
Gold backs, me and my gold backs. Yeah, I mean, I do love my gold backs, but I have to like really get all those together if I had to go. So
Yeah.
Not my choice of investment on the gold backs.
hey, I like my gold backs. All right.
Not my choice. Fun to have for gifts, but nothing more for me there. If I had 10K today, I have to be honest. I think the safe answer is diversify. But I'm going to be honest. If you gave me 10K today, I had to invest in precious metals. Regardless, I probably would invest most of it in precious metals. I would take some elsewhere just to diversify completely. But if I had to invest in precious metals today, I'm going to be honest, I would probably, today's spot price, I'd go full silver.
Really?
I'd probably go full silver today. If you gave it to me today, I just think gold is at an all-time high, especially with the election coming up. If you look at the past years, gold's always trickled up during the election. This year, I think it's bigger because we have a lot of events going on. My opinion, I think gold's going to come down again to probably around 21 to 2,300. And I think silver is going to actually keep climbing to around 35 to 37.
That's very interesting. Yeah, I'm very hesitant on buying gold. Like, I've been wanting to buy gold, but at the beginning of the year, actually, I saw a dip a little bit below 2,000. And then I was like, okay, if it dips a little bit below 2,000, I'll buy.
Yeah.
And it didn't.
Yep.
Yep.
I think you see it's at a rate right now that you think is not discounted. And until we get used to this new rate, people aren't going to start buying large quantities.
Okay, we can stop here.
Yeah.
Come on.
No, you're good. You're good.
Thank you.
You were talking. You're talking about gold, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was gonna bounce off of that because, like, say something about. I know we've talked to customers that like, oh, it's real high, but it was like 22, and now it's 23, 24.
Yeah,
So
like
do you
how
want
it
to say
keeps
that
climbing.
last part?
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
you
let's
said?
say it
Say it
again
again.
so we can edit
Yeah.
it.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, it's funny you say that because when I look at it, I think the reason why we're not willing to buy or why we're not willing to go in is because we saw it at a discounted price. We saw it at 1,800. I mean, when I was first coming in, 1,700, 1,600. And so I just can't bring myself to buy it because I'm like,
Same.
it's going to keep maybe going up, but what if it goes back down to 17?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I've talked to so many customers. I remember when gold was at 2,000 and people were hesitant to buy at 2,000. It was like, man, we haven't seen this number before. This is so much. A month later, 2,100, 22, 23, 24. Now we're all the way up to 27 in just 6 months' time. So
Yeah.
Now I'm kicking myself for not buying when it was at 2,000.
Exactly right. So that mental block of when you see that all-time high, you're like a little bit hesitant, but
I do feel it's gonna come down a little bit. There's gotta be a correction to
You
it.
got to say it's got to break at some point, right?
there's always a pullback. Yeah.
Where do you think that break is going to be, though? I think that's where everybody wants to know is like, where's that break going to be and how far is it going to fall?
Well, like Warren Buffett says, time in the market is better than timing the market. So
That's correct. I can't.
Yeah, I've
argue with
been
that for sure.
starting thinking I'm just gonna dollar average it.
Yeah.
But I want to see a good entry. Like 22 to 2,300 for me would be a good entry, honestly.
yeah,
You know what's
but are we
funny,
going
though?
to see that again?
Is the reality is as much as I want to time the market, and like you say, timing the market is better than timing the market, is I work with thousands of IRA reps, right? We work with people that come in and out every day. These people have anywhere from $100,000 to $2 million. There's people that try so hard to time the market, and I've noticed they always do the worst out of all of them. There's just one guy in particular, obviously we can't share any names here, that always buys on the 31st of the month. No matter what, always buys on the 31st of the month, and I've watched him make hand over fist buying 1,000-ounce silver bars. Because no matter what the spot price is, he doesn't worry about it. He goes by that saying. He's the one who actually taught me that saying. Nope, I don't care what the spot price is. Time in the market is better than timing it. And I watched him make $75,000 last month off of it.
All right.
That's actually something that I've been thinking of, just buying at the start of every month.
There's
Some months it
trends.
goes up and there's months that it goes down. But
There's trends.
if you, for example, I thought at the beginning of the year, I'm just going to buy S&P 500 and a participation in ETF at the beginning of the year. Should have bought. It's 26% increment now. Should have bought gold at the beginning of the year. So I think I'm going to start trying it a little bit.
Yeah. I think it's a little hard right now as same guy that I was talking about earlier, he always tells me hindsight is 2020, right? Hindsight is 2020. And I think everything's here right now. Everything's going crazy. Even the stock market's going crazy, right? And so I think everybody's on this kind of spree right now of I should have bought. And I think what's tough is sometimes you don't realize when it goes down, you don't really think about it. Versus when it goes up, you're just in that buyer's remorse or that regret that you didn't buy. So.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of times what I tell customers when they're like, oh, this is my first purchase. I know I'm late to the game, but I want to get into it. And I say, you know what? You're not late to the game because there's so many people out there that don't even know about precious metals, that don't know anything about it. So the fact that you're watching this now, that we're talking about this now, we're actually ahead of the game.
Yep.
And what I always tell them is there's like a Chinese proverb that the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, and the next best time is today.
Yeah. So good.
That's so good.
And the reality is, too, there's only 10% of people in the U.S. that actually invested in precious metals. So
There you
the
go.
time is now, for sure. What were you going to say?
That's so good. No, I was just want to move to the next section. Just a little bit of fun. I know that Corey loves trivia, so let me ask. Let me start with this one. True or false? Gold is so malleable that a single ounce can be stretched into a wire over 50 miles long.
50 miles.
I'm pretty sure that is definitely true. The only thing is I don't know if it's 50 miles, but I'm pretty sure that's absolutely true.
Okay. So true or false? Gold is so malleable that a single ounce can be stretched into a wire that's over 50 miles long.
It's got to be true. It has to be. The only thing that you could get me on is maybe it's
50 miles.
Maybe it's not 50 miles.
50 miles. See, that's what
I
I'm
heard some
thinking. I know
crazy
he's
stat.
trying to, because obviously gold's malleable, but 50 miles.
I think it's
But I
50
feel like he's going
miles.
to say, no, it's not 50, it's 100, 150 or something.
No, I think it's true. I'm going to go with true. I'm pretty sure I've heard this stat before.
All right, well, then I'm going to go false.
True.
Oh,
True.
Yeah.
50
1 point.
miles.
I was looking
man.
into it. It's like nanometric
Yeah.
type of wire. Like,
Yeah.
It's kind of like a tricky question.
But it still works. The only reason I knew is I like watching these jewelers that collect jewelry and gold especially, and a couple of the chains they make are up to like 20 miles long of wire around the neck, and it's
What?
pretty crazy.
Wow, okay.
That's pretty cool.
I'll have to check that out.
All right. So the other question. Approximately how much percentage of all gold ever mined is still in circulation today? Jewelry, investment, technology. How much percentage of the gold is still in circulation?
32%.
I'll take the under on 32.
Under?
Under 32? 90%
90.
of gold is still in use.
Oh, should
So
we
Like
read
wait,
gold
that?
maybe
is
I didn't.
still-
Maybe I didn't understand the question. So
90% of the gold ever mined
it's
is still in use.
Oh, okay, still
Okay.
in use, meaning that we're still
Using
bartering,
it, yeah.
trading, selling
Yeah,
it. Yeah, I would actually.
Like,
probably would have gone with 99%.
The world
but-
hasn't.
Okay.
The world has only lost 10% of the gold ever mined.
Yeah, and how did
Pretty
they even
good.
lose that? That would be my question.
Probably we've got to check these couches, see if there's,
Yeah.
see if it's in there.
Yeah, exactly. Talking about gold, what do you guys think on digital gold? There was a documentary on HBO released that allegedly exposed the creator of Bitcoin, like who Satoshi Nakamoto it really is. It's supposedly a guy called Peter Todd in Canada. But I was like, okay, one, you guys or ruined his life or it's wrong, you know?
Yeah. And also, I mean, to me, I don't know how big of a difference that makes if it's Peter Todd or this Satoshi guy that created Bitcoin. Me personally, I'm not big into Bitcoin. I mean, yeah, it's definitely a way to make money. If you invested a couple years ago, yeah, you'd be sitting good now.
Or you'd be down by 1,000%.
You could be down. I mean, I know it's up. Bitcoin, I think, is sitting
Yeah.
around 60K right now.
Yep.
So there's no denying that it was and is a good investment, but me personally, I don't trust it one bit.
Yeah.
I feel like in a flash, it could be gone, and that's what I don't like. Gold and silver, it's here to stay.
Okay.
We're probably gonna dock your pay, but it's okay.
No, that's all right.
All right. I will jump right in after that.
Okay.
Okay.
Edit it.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm not going to lie, though. I am invested a little bit in Bitcoin. just because I think I see the insane potential it could have if the world starts to believe in it. So right now it's at like what 60 something thousand,
Yeah.
and the world still doesn't really believe in it. And so that's what kind of scares me is if the world starts to believe in it, and if they were to switch it, or even better, what if you started working with some type of Bitcoin that's backed by gold? That's where it would get really crazy, and I think you could see.
How
it
could
go
that work?
crazy.
Like, how is Bitcoin backed by gold?
I think the reality,
Or a crypto coin backed
yeah,
by
a crypto coin. I think you see Bitcoin, it would be a little bit tougher, but I think if somebody really creates a coin that's backed by gold, is what you do. You have a platform in a blockchain that is tied in with the amount of gold in the system, right? So if you essentially own that coin, that Bitcoin, right, it's tied to an exact value of how much gold you owe.
Oh, okay.
So how much gold you owe to the Bitcoin and how much gold you own yourself is how it would work, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think
there may be one out there like that. There's so many different cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, I think
But
that
I'm a little bit ignorant to that. I'll be honest. The crypto.
I love crypto, but I'm not that smart, so I don't understand it. Like, I
Yeah,
have a little
I
bit
can
of
see that.
Ethereum and a little bit of Cardano. ADA, it's called. I mean, it's just a little bit.
Yeah.
But I used to have like $2,000 worth of Bitcoin in 2016, and I just bought Bitcoin to trade it for another coin that was gonna go to the moon, and it just
And then
tanked.
Bitcoin went to the moon, right?
in Bitcoin.
And then
Yeah,
it's Bitcoin.
This is a side topic, but here's a funny thing.
I think Bitcoin was at like 10K at that moment, so I would have
Oh, yeah, you would have
made.
been up big time.
I would have been
Yeah.
big time.
I don't know if you guys remember the Dogecoin scandal.
Yeah.
One of my friends convinced me to buy $4,000 worth of Dogecoin when it was at 2 cents, and my account.
How much money did you put?
$4,000. Probably not the smartest. My account went up to something crazy. It went up to like 60 something thousand a day. Overnight, it went up to something like 190 grand. If I was sold at the right moment, I waited because my friend and I made a bet that would wait until it hit 89 cents for some reason. Never reached that number, and I ended up only making $5,000 on it. Which
You
is
ended up
still-
making.
I ended up making, but in my head, I lost $185,000, which still sticks with
That's
me
rough.
today, and that's why I kind of don't want to go through that again. So I think gold and silver kind of has my heart a little bit more right now.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
reliable. I do like that. It's
It's just-
very reliable.
It's reliable. You
It's
know you can
super
hold it for
reliable.
generations. You know you're setting up your kids, your family. It's going to follow everything. If not going to be worth more, it will at least be worth the exact dollar that you put in, I think, when you put in and when you take it.
It's always going to be worth more because scarcity is always going to play at hand in the long term.
Yeah.
Like, there's always going to be less gold or silver. They're not going to make more of it.
They can't.
Just like land. They're not going to make more of it.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, let's move to another section. Corey, you had a couple of stories to share with
Some
us.
stories.
Yeah, so
Okay, Corey's
Corey's going to
stories.
share with us some
Get ready.
theories. Let's just call it theories
Get ready.
about what's going on right now in the world. So this is going to be a super fun section.
Okay. All right. So you told me we were going to be talking about the central bank a little bit today, Fed, all that, right? Okay. So I was thinking, what do I think about that? And so I got a little story for you. Did you guys know that the Titanic did not sink?
What do you mean?
Titanic did not sink.
Did you guys
What
know
does
the
this have to do
Titanic
with
did not
anything?
sink? You guys ever heard
How
that?
do we know this?
I've seen pictures of the
Yeah.
Titanic.
Or you
I've
seen
seen
pictures of it?
Pictures on the bottom of the ocean.
Okay. All right. So a boat did sink, but it was not the Titanic.
Really?
It was called the Olympic. Yes. So J.P. Morgan was the owner of White Star Lines. White Star Lines, all right? And they've got a boat called the Olympic. It's the biggest boat out there, right? Gets into a few accidents, starts getting some, dings here and there. Then they come out with this new boat called the Titanic. It's brand spanking new, right? Well, what JP Morgan did was they swapped the names of the two boats, and they called the Olympic the Titanic, and they called the Titanic the Olympic, and they sent out the Olympic as the maiden voyage, right? The maiden voyage, and they called it the Titanic, but it wasn't. So they crashed it to get the insurance money for it, while at the same time, this is crazy, right?
Where are you getting your
JP Morgan wanted to create what we now know as the Federal Reserve, right? This is 1912. And there were 3 investment bankers that were on that boat that were opposed to the Federal Reserve. JP Morgan said that he was sick and did not get on that boat that day that it took off, but these 3 bankers did that were opposed to the Federal Reserve. Next thing you know, the boat goes down, those guys die, JP Morgan gets the insurance money. Next year, U.S. Federal Reserve is created.
So the ship that we see at the bottom of the ocean is the Olympic.
It's the Olympic.
And it was planned for it to sink for the insurance.
For the insurance and to take out those guys that were opposed to the Federal Reserve.
And what did they use the you're saying that they used the insurance money to create the Federal Reserve?
No, that was just like a bonus. That was just kind of a bonus. I mean, because J.P. Morgan
I mean,
was one of the biggest proponents of the Federal Reserve. He's not the only one, but he was one of the biggest.
Okay, so the main point was sink this 3 bankers that were opposed to that.
That was
to it,
more important than the insurance money. Yeah.
and the insurance money was a little bit of a bump.
Just a little side, yeah.
And
yeah.
how many people died in this accident altogether?
I forget. I mean, it's over 1,000, right?
Yeah,
a couple thousand.
I have to
I mean, it's
remember. All I remember
terrible
is Jack
tragedy.
and Rose, to be honest.
okay. Yeah.
But all right, I would have to ask then. Number one, where are the facts? Right? Tell me some of the facts that you know. Where are you getting your information? Because I got to know this. Anybody can tell a good story. You
Okay.
have my attention, but now tell me why I should believe this.
Well, it's known fact that J.P. Morgan was supposed to be on the Titanic, but he backed out due to illness. Okay, so the owner of the boat was supposed to be on that maiden voyage, right? And he backed out due to illness like the day before.
And so he lives.
He lives another couple months after that, a couple of years.
How did he die?
He died. That's a great question. I don't know how he died, but
He
so
died a
you've
couple
got
months after. Somebody
you've
was
got
after
the
him.
sinking. Here's the timeline. You've got the sinking of the boat. We'll say the boat with the guys that oppose the Federal Reserve. J.P. Morgan is pushing the U.S. to have a central banking system, and then he dies at the beginning of 1913, and not that long after that is when the Federal Reserve is formed.
I'd love to investigate that.
I want to investigate now. That just makes me think. I don't know. I'm not super caught up in conspiracy theories, but the more I hear, I'm gonna be honest, the more I start to believe them.
All right.
I mean,
be a
I'm
little
not super. I'm super skeptical, but I got this point once. Are you telling me that you believe everything that the government says it's true also? And I'm like, well, no, either. So
Yeah.
it's just fun.
Yeah, I heard a stat the other day, like 71% of news is all made up. I think I would agree
Yeah,
with
and
Probably.
85% of statistics are all made up too.
50% of all the statistics are made up.
that. Yeah, you just made that up.
You just made that up, yeah.
Okay,
All right.
cool.
Well, next time if you have me back on, I'll tell you why the Statue of Liberty, Lady Liberty, is actually a dude.
Actually, a dude.
Yeah.
First off, hold on really quick before you finish your thoughts.
Okay.
How do we know for 100% that they switched the name of the boat? So the Titanic that went out was not a new boat, is what you're saying?
Correct. That was an old boat.
And so
It's part-
they made
so the
everybody
other-
believe it was a new boat?
Correct. Yeah.
And then they kept the new boat.
And they kept the new
Where's
boat.
the new boat today?
So they called the new boat the Olympic, and man, you're drilling me with questions here, Aaron. Okay, all right. I'm trying to tell a good story here, but well, I'm sure we can find out where the Olympic is today.
All right, so that's what we want you guys to look up.
There you go.
Where is the Olympic today? Comment here if you can find it. If you believe this
Tell us where it's
story,
at.
If you think it's the truth, I'm still going with no as of right now. We'll see about that.
All right.
I'm going with. I'll look it up.
I'll look it
Go
up.
and look it
That's
up.
awesome.
All right.
I like it though.
That's all I ask.
Okay, cool. Now, Corey, you want to talk about weather too?
Oh, the weather.
We got
Okay.
weather
all right.
here.
Okay, so
Weather,
So
yeah.
we started having this conversation because it was brought to my attention that apparently this new hurricane was man-made, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
Mm.
I think most of the people I was talking to before the hurricane.
So
in
sorry, that's
precious
for the
metals.
people hearing us. Which hurricane? What
Yeah.
time is
Oh,
this?
yeah.
We're talking about
Yeah.
Hurricane Milton.
Milton.
That's
Yep.
hitting Florida right now. This is October 11th.
Yeah. All right. Just want to say we're praying for y'all in Florida.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know it is a horrible tragedy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's completely man-made, but maybe man-enhanced, if you want to say it that way, enhanced. So you got HARP, which is, I forget what it stands for, HARP.
Something Alaska.
HAARP, yeah, out in Alaska. It's like Aurora something project, but they're doing some fishy stuff out there over in Alaska. They've been doing it a while, shooting like ions into the sky, creating clouds, creating rain, creating storms. And then you've got your direct energy weapons that they used in Maui to create that fire. You know what? Look it up. They're shooting direct energy weapons over there. They closed the roads down in Maui. I mean, the destruction that was caused in Maui was awful, and it could have been avoided. And so now with Hurricane Milton, their HARP is doing all these crazy things to the weather, and it's making these like super hurricanes that's just destroying our nation. And it's sad to see, to be honest.
Why would they do that?
It's the government. They hate us.
Here's the
They hate
reality. These are not my beliefs. These are customers' beliefs that we talk to every day. I don't know about Corey. We'll see what he believes. I have heard by the Republican side that they're targeting Florida, steering the storms. We'll see. I don't know if I'm 100% convinced that they're steering the storm at the Republican states to cause devastation so they can't do mail-in ballots and they will be hindered to vote. Now, don't get me wrong. Do I believe the government dictates a lot of things, especially when it comes to elections? If you argue with me on that, look up the evidence there from the last election. I don't care what party or side you're on, they definitely do it. But why they would do it, I think is pretty clear. To cause destruction and to essentially cause chaos, because chaos brings desperation in communities. Desperation brings reliance on the government. More reliance on the government brings more control.
Amen. Yeah.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
And I mean, regardless of not if we're talking about a storm or not, I think everybody could agree with that. That through desperation becomes reliance.
Yeah.
So, but right now, if it was the case, if it's man enhanced, how is it going to affect? Because the election says in how much time? Is it the end of
November? So what we have, not long.
A month.
Almost
A
3
month
weeks.
and a half.
Almost 3 weeks, to be honest.
Yeah.
Is it the start of November or
Yeah.
the end?
Yeah.
I
Towards
forget
the start.
I forget. This is like
think-
middle November.
I'm gonna have
Middle
to look
November.
it up, man. This shows you.
We're almost there. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
No,
mean,
it's
something
coming up. And usually, I mean, you'll see every election year when it's leading up to the election, all kinds of crazy things just start
It's
happening.
crazy. Earthquakes, storms. It seems like it almost saves it up for that year.
It's like clockwork. Yep.
So here's the thing. It's hard for me to believe. But if you do look at the statistics, it is like clockwork. Why were there no great hurricanes before the past 3 years? There was a couple, but they weren't anything big. No storm surges that flooded my cousin's houses or anything like that. But now before the election, we get 2 in a row. That's pretty great. On the most
Little bit
Republican
fishy,
state that's
little
out
fishy.
there.
That would be
Interesting.
fun for another episode, like a backtrack of all the things that have
Let's do
happened
it.
in election
Election
year.
year. Yeah. I'm down for it.
Now, here's the reality, though, if it's true. The amount of people that are buying precious metals, if there is destruction and the government starts to dominate more, I guarantee you they're going to start making hand over fist, or they're going to have their investments in the right place to be able to defend themselves against it. That's the reality. I mean, I think how it relates to this whole thing is the reason we're talking about it, to be honest with you guys, is because we're talking with customers every day that are mentioning these things. So obviously this drives you guys. Obviously it drives people to purchase. And if people are purchasing, you're going to see it go up.
Okay, so wrapping it up, I have 2 questions from people that sent us questions. To tie it up, the first one, what if the government decides to confiscate metals again? What do I do?
What do you do?
Get your guns.
Get your gun.
That's my
Again, this is
answer.
just opinions.
Just opinions, just opinions. This is no financial advice, nothing, but I have some strong opinions on it for sure.
Well, I mean, that's my first answer. Being from Texas, that's our response. Get the guns. If the government starts trying to take metals, just don't willingly give it to them. That's what they had like a buyback program before, and like, oh yeah, we'll buy your metals back from you. and
They give you dollars.
yeah,
of course.
Yeah,
What
they
else
give you
are
their
gonna
dollars.
Yeah,
Printed
exactly.
paper dollars for your nice precious metals.
Right. Yeah. So don't just give it up to them. At least put up some kind of fight, I think. And you know, if you feel called to it, get out and vote. And then pray.
I think pray and vote. I think that's the reality. And what drives so many people to buy is the fact that they think that's going to happen again, that the government's going to come confiscate. I mean, I'll be honest, go bury it 12 feet underneath. They say they only look 6. We'll see how far they look in the ground and where that's to be buried. You decide. I've talked to actually multiple guys. This one guy that invests with our company, he believes the only way to get around government confiscation of metals is to bury it that deep in the ground with a secure vault, and you have to make sure that a location is unsecured. Here's the reality for me is I think, sadly, there's probably not many ways around it. I think government's so powerful that you have to come up with some really good ideas to get around it, and the only way we could is what Corey said, is we keep our government, our state, and our whole country online, that we must stay where we are or start going back to making America what it was, backed by gold, communities that are actually thriving with one another, and then you actually stop the government altogether from confiscating. The only reason the government would confiscate is if we're in some crazy warfare, some crazy apocalypse. And
Why did the government confiscate before? Do you guys know the reason?
They pretty much were forced to. Was the reason? That's what it comes down to. Is
What year
really
was
need
it
to go
again?
back to it.
What year did they do that?
Wasn't it
Confiscation.
Let's get that for the
Yeah,
next
we
episode.
gotta get
Wasn't
that.
it 1933 or something like that?
It's right around there. I'm actually forgetting the date right now. But the reason they had to, they were forced to. They needed to get something back. They needed to get wealth back, and the only way they could get wealth, it wasn't by their printed dollars. They had to go back into the community and get people's gold and silver so they could build wealth back into the country. And that's what you're seeing now. What is our country built on? Not gold and silver. Nothing's backed by gold and silver. Nothing's backed by Bitcoin. Nothing's real. The dollars in your wallet, the dollars in my wallet are paper. So in my opinion, how scary it is, probably going to happen again.
Wow.
Probably is.
And that's why they're stacking now.
Yeah.
They're buying now, and I mean, hopefully it doesn't come to it, but yeah, it could happen that they start confiscating it again from the people.
Yeah.
But I know this time people are going to put up a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so too. Now, to wrap it up, the other question we had was, how should I store my metals? Do you guys have any recommendations? If I don't have a safe, because if you have
If
a
you don't
safe,
have a safe.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
what
obviously,
should
if you got a safe at home, you know, or
Yeah,
burying
I
it,
think it's a
but,
better
you know,
option.
burying it 12 feet, that's a bit extreme. Might take some time, but, I mean, hey, if that's what you feel necessary, do it, you know. But, yeah, I mean, there's plenty of great depositories all throughout America that you can store in. Some reliable
secure,
ones, I would
reliable,
say.
yeah.
Working with IRAs, I would beg to differ that most are reliable. But
Well, true.
I mean, we had a couple of depository scandals just this year that have been pretty insane, where they've actually taken people's metals, which is pretty crazy. And I think that's why people have to really ask this question.
Yeah.
Where is the place that I can store my metals? So I think I have a pretty interesting answer, but I wanted to make sure you had nothing else before.
No, I'm all ears.
Here's a reality. And Yankee Stacker says it all the time on his YouTube channel. The reality is, if you can put your metals in your hands, I think you should. There's no reason why you would give your metals to somebody else if you don't have to. I believe that. I mean, heck, you just went through a situation where a bank shut down on you and you lost money on that, right?
Yeah.
If you had had that money in your hands, or you had an asset that was already yours, that's not happening, right? So I think the reality is, if you can buy it with your own money, and if you can afford to store it, sometimes it's harder, sometimes people don't live in places where it's safe, then that would be an option. But here's the reality. The only time, in my opinion, you need to go store your metals is with IRAs and 401ks, because there's no other way. I mean, you cannot get that metal in your hands legally, and you're going to get killed with taxes if you do. So, I mean, obviously, that's why I believe you got to store it. Places like SD Bullion Depository. There's a couple other ones, IDS, that I think are really good too, but you got to store it in those places that you know have good policies, that as soon as you're able to get it out, you get it out without all the tax implications and so on and so forth. And you do your research, you figure out who's the best. I think you'll find it very quickly. But the reality is, if you can hold it in your hands, hold it in your hands.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, I think we can start wrapping it up for today. We have a couple of nice topics for next week. So thanks, guys, for coming, and we'll stay safe out there.
Make sure to
Yep.
find the Olympic for me. I need to know where that's at, guys. See you guys next week.
Yeah, y'all got to help me out.
All right.